Hello, welcome back. It's a brand new year and I have a brand new seed starting setup for the 2021 garden. I will walk you through what I did to set all this up and show you all the items that I purchased to help get started for the 2021 garden. And I will also show you all the new seedlings that have managed to start, as well as one that still isn't growing despite all that I've tried. And I'll bring you closer and show you each of the parts. Here is the setup for this year. I have this workbench in my basement, ignore the mess over there. I cleared out most of it to give me enough room to set out at least 4 starting trays, as well as my grow lights that are up here. I have my grow lights on 2 timers. One is plugged in over here, and the other is plugged in over there. These are set on 16 hours. They turn on around 7 a.m. and turn off around 9 p.m. I hung them off the lighting up above this workbench using art wire. You can see the wire up there. The instructions for these grow lights said hang it roughly 2 feet above the growing area. So it's about 2 feet above the top of the seed mats up to here. And it said it'll give about 3 square feet, and that's roughly what I found that these 2 lights give off together. When I first started this area, I just had this one light going, and I thought that it might cover all four of these. So from over here all the way to over here. I did notice that a lot of these plants were leaning too far when they were further on one side or the other. So I added the second one to ensure that they all get evenly covered with the light and they all grow upright. These 2 over here are my onions for this year. You can see these aren't doing as well. I think it might be because the soil on this is different from the one over here. And I didn't do a great job of documenting which soil I used on each of these, so I'm not sure exactly what caused it. I'm not too worried because onions are pretty hardy, so I'm still going to throw these in the ground later on in the spring. Over here, I've got pretty much all of my peppers and my tomatoes. So I made these little flags with washi tape and marked them. So I've got eggplant, beefsteak tomatoes, California Wonder Pepper. I've got 1 habanero pepper growing, 4 jalapeno plants. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 San Marzano plants that came up. I only got 1 really healthy lawn pepper, and there are 2 smaller ones trying to pop up, maybe 3. We'll see what happens with those. And then I've got shishitos, which were my favorite from last year. I've got 5 growing. I'm trying red marvel pepper, crispy sweet pepper, and I'm growing my own Cherokee tomatoes, and they're looking awesome. Those are the big ones right over here. In the back, I've got my cilantro, which is nice and tall already. I've got my super sweet 100 cherry tomatoes, and then the peppers up this way. So I'm obviously trying a lot of peppers, so we'll see what happens when they get in the ground. Over here, these 4 are celery. I've never grown celery. I am going to try it out and see what happens. In the back, I've got parsley right over here and lemon balm over here. And then on this side, I've got my basil, which is growing a little bit, my chives, which are coming up slowly, and I've got spearmint. Out of everything that I planted here, the spearmint is the only thing that isn't growing, and I'm not sure exactly why. Whenever you put spearmint in the ground, it's an invasive and you can't stop it from growing. So it's kind of funny to me that I put seeds in and I give it all this attention and they still aren't germinating. I'm gonna have to look up and see what's going on there. Below all of these seed trays, this is the most important part here. I'm in a basement and I took a temperature. It's about 58, 57 degrees down here. Seeds need at least 70 degrees in order to sprout. So what I did is I purchased this quite large warming mat. So this plugs in over here. It's got a plug that goes in just under where I plug in my grow light. And this has kept the soil at the proper temperature for all the seeds to germinate. Once the seeds have germinated and they're growing, the temperature doesn't matter as much, but I'm still keeping it on just to give them the best start possible. And they are doing far, far better than they were a year ago when I tried this without the seed warming mat and without the grow lights. So the only thing I am missing on this is ideally you would have domes on each of these covering them to give the seeds when they're sprouting the most heat to sprout faster. I did not do that, and so far it's fine. Next year I might add that. I got almost everything here from Amazon except for these guys. These are what I ordered from Epic Gardening. They are brand new 6-cell seed starting pots. What's really cool about them is they're a very, very sturdy plastic. They're very thick, they don't crinkle, and they have these holes in the bottom so that when the plants root out, it's really easy to just poke your finger through and pull the pot out on top. These are very, very sturdy, and they won't crinkle or crack or break apart like most of the cell packs you buy in the store do. I bought these because they will last me for a very long time, and I don't need to worry about wasting plastic whenever I use them. The other part are these trays. So each of these modules are inside this tray, which helps collect water and keep everything together. So I've got the tray, and then inside the tray I have these as well. These are the first things I bought before the other more sturdy seed compartments were available, and these are what the onions are in. So all I did was take this, put this tray here, put this on the inside, fill it with soil, and plant my seeds, and then put it on top of the mat. It's really easy, and this whole setup isn't all that expensive. The most expensive parts were the warming mat and the grow lights. But if you have an indoor area that is at 72 degrees all the time, you really won't need the seed warming mat. My house is kept pretty cool to help conserve energy, so I needed this in order to give my seeds the best chance at survival. So all you would really need would be the tray, the cells on the inside, and the grow lights. And don't forget, the most important part is down here I've got my seed starting. So to sum up, we have the seed starting mix, the trays, the cell modules, and the grow lights, and that's all you really need to get started on your own seedlings. There's a bunch more you could add, but I really recommend starting simple and working your way up. Even what I have here might be too much for the first-time gardener. And one thing I forgot to mention is I know you really can't see these plants too well because the camera picks up the UV light kind of weird, but I do promise that they are nice and bright and green and healthy. I plan on planting these onions outside in the beginning of April in my zone. I'm in zone 5, so we plant things a lot later than they would further south in the US. Zone 6 and above could probably put the onions out right now, but I have to wait because it's still really cold out there. The rest of these, all of my peppers, my eggplant, my herbs and such, except for maybe parsley and cilantro, those are going to go out probably at the beginning or middle of May. I want to be sure that the frost is done before I put those out because they are very frost tender. And what I have left to plant is I'm going to try start loofah. I've never grown loofah before. I've heard it's quite a challenge, especially here in Zone 5, Chicago, where it's quite cold. I am going to try it. I don't expect to get much out of it. If I get one loofah, I'll be very happy. But I had to start it indoors because they require a very long growing season that we can't get naturally outside here where I live. I'm also going to be starting maybe a couple flowers, and oh yeah, I will later on show a video of how to start your own sweet potatoes from the store for pennies. If you want to see more about those videos, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like to see. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.